G'day, legends. Welcome back to Roadside, presented by Zwift. This is the Giro Liftout. Tom and I here again to recap the last 4 or 5 stages from stage 4 to stage 9 of the Giro d'Italia. Over on YouTube, you can watch us. We've got a new setup here on our screens, on our background, using new software. So our program should be improving on the YouTube side. And of course, if you're following us on Apple and Spotify, you can make sure you follow us along there and click subscribe. We love it. Tommy, this week of the Giro has been a big one, and we've seen the storyline start to emerge as a bit of action finally has occurred in the Giro d'Italia.
Mate, boy, oh boy, has there been action. It's been shockers. Last couple of nights, particularly last night, the race up to Siena. Oh, that was just so entertaining. Divisive, throwing the gravel in there. There wasn't even a large amount of gravel, but it set the cat amongst the pigeons, and we had some real racing, didn't we, last night? So Giro's starting to happen, as we sort of expected, late in the second week, and there's going to be so much more to come. Yeah. Bring it on.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we've had, like we said, we've had some big moments step up this last 4 or 5 stages. What has been the big one for you before we get into the real crux of what's happened? What's been a big highlight quickly?
I've loved the fact that the Maglia Rosa has just changed hands a few times. I've loved the fact that, we had Mads Pedersen. It's gone to, it went across to Roglic. Now it's gone to Ulysses, which was a special moment, obviously, for the Italian rider. You could see the emotion. And he continued XDS's good run of things. And then now it has gone to Del Toro, which I think this is the best. The first time Mexico has the Maglia Rosa, the leader's jersey of the Giro. Yeah. We know as Australians how nice it is, how wonderful it is, when you see your leaders or your countrymen in the leader's jersey. It's pretty special, anytime it goes away from a Eurocentric country, and for, to see Mexico happen, and for them to get this, this jersey, I reckon it's a pretty pivotal moment. I'm a big fan of it.
That's a great call. And you think about Richard Carapaz, the Ecuadorian superstar. He's got 3 gold statues of him at the top of one of the big mountains in Ecuador, where he's from, the Great Condor of Ecuador, as they call him. So I'm sure in Mexico, on the wall there, they might have a big mural being painted of the young Isaac Del Toro.
It's the sort of thing that makes generational change. So it's it'll be fascinating to see the flow-on effect. But yourself, mate, what have you liked?
I had to say, everybody will know my answer. Luke Plapp's victory.
You've heard from the good man. You've heard from the big man.
Haven't yet. Just still on. Hasn't read my messages yet, but I know he'll get back to me. The great man. He would have got probably about 4 million messages. But the important thing is I've actually defended Luke Plapp in the comment sections and my DMs on the Instagram page. Probably
you've been a keyboard warrior.
On about 5 or 6 times, not just having conversations with listeners. They've been messaging and that sort of stuff. And I've been defending him like 5 in the last fortnight because they've been disappointed with Plapp and the TT crash, I think, exasperated that. And Jayco's, lack of results. And, to their credit, one of them and one person I was going to actually message, and he messaged me first, and he said, where is he, the great man? Big Sean Stevens, great guy. He said, so happy to be eating humble pie this morning after a Plappy masterclass. And that was after I said, look, don't give up on him because it will come. You don't just get this world-class power. He just needs to put it all together, and he did. So that was a big one for me. But Tommy, we'll crack into some big news that's occurred before we really crack open the rest of the Giro that we're recapping. The big one that's come out today is that the Spanish and Italian media outlets are reporting, already confirmed, that Remco Evenepoel is off to Total INEOS, which is what they'll be called in 2026. Now, a little bit of context is, Remco has been basically chased by INEOS for, let's say, 2 years now, and 2 years ago it was very close. And in fact, I had a current INEOS rider message me and say it was a done deal back in 2023 or 2024, and obviously it didn't quite go over the line. His dad was playing silly buggers in the managerial role, and it looks like that it's, there's only rumors, but the Italian and Spanish media are reporting this, but you have to think that Remco would want to be jumping ship from Quickstep because they are not the team they were of 10 years ago.
Yeah, they're a shadow of their former self, aren't they? And they're looking for the next star, sort of in Paul Magnier, to try and pull them out of maybe the rut that they in, the bad luck with Lando crashing. Yeah, it's from as well from my very unreliable sources as well, mate. That it's pretty much going to go ahead.
And
I
we
think it was
need
going
that.
to it was going to happen sort of last season. It was a little
Yep.
bit too rushed because there was a big domino jam for the GC men who were looking for contracts last year. They were all essentially waiting for that Remco decision to be made before a
Yeah.
lot of guys could sign contracts. So that really put a stress on the market. And I heard that there was also maybe some riders who kind of were like, mate, just make a decision, make a call. I need to sign on the dotted line somewhere, and you're creating a log jam. So, yeah, I reckon it'll happen. It'll be interesting to see if Specialized follow as well. We know Pinarello, a long-time supporter of INEOS,
Yeah.
and Specialized, a long-time backer of Remco. So that'll be a fascinating one to watch. But yeah, it's on, isn't it?
It's
INEOS
on.
have got their man.
Yeah, well, they've turned everything around. I think they're throwing the book out for how they once did, and I wouldn't be surprised if Pinarello are out and they bring in Specialized with that sponsor. But no doubt it's good for Remco because he's one of the big four. More news as well that dropped only 90 minutes ago. So those listening right now will be listening to real breaking news in that reporting today. Some really solid reporting this morning on Twitter and X. AG2R Decathlon, apparently their budget has been bolstered big time going into 2026, and they apparently are going right after a big raid of Visma Lease and Astana, looking after Case Bowl, Dan Hule, and going the big cheese at Visma for Olav Koy, as along with Tej Benut, which has already been rumoured to be heading to AG2R Decathlon. So they've basically raided a whole train, nothing confirmed yet, but these are the targets, and it is from very good sources that these are the riders they're looking to get in 2026.
Now, it makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? They got Sam Bennett. He's at the Giro at the moment. They kind of built up a bit of a lead-up train around him. You know, they had some good guys, Stan the Wolf, and some good riders around him. But Bennett is older, doesn't have long left at that top level. Coy is a bloody gun. It was only last year that he was winning stages at Paris-Nice, beating Merlier and the like. So Coy, he has had a bit of an off year, but he's still been sort of there or thereabouts, It'll be fascinating to see how he goes. It's a good move. I like it.
Yeah, and like to see the AG2R really, using some of that spendoolies that might have been, just making clear after Ben O'Connor left, because no doubt he would have been probably their highest paid rider. And then the final big bit of news is that the Tour de France Stage 21, the final stage of the Tour this year, as reported by Escape Collective earlier this year, the Montmartre stage, climb that was used in the Olympic circuit, the kicker, the steep climb in the middle of Paris, that has been confirmed that they will do 3 times the Montmartre climb in the Champs-Élysées, stage 21 at the Tour. And it is reported to have been, or the last time they ascend it, will be 4 kilometers from the Champs-Élysées, which will definitely promote some very aggressive racing heading towards the Champs.
Tradition's dead, isn't it? Just put it in the bin. This is rubbish. The sprinters, my friend, they battle through the Pyrenees. They battle through, the Central Massif. They battle through the Alps. And this is what they get rewarded with for arriving to Paris. The big boys, the Jakobsens of the world. This is rubbish. ASO, pull your head out of the gutter. Come on.
I think they want a Remco or a Van der Poel to be winning that final stage. I think that's what they want. They want Remco under the Arc de Triomphe, and it's going to be interesting to see. And I'm sure it's only a test. It's not forever. If it doesn't work, they'll just go back to the traditional finish. And I like that too, Tommy. I do like the traditional one, but I'm also all for changing it up and just throwing something at the wall and seeing if it sticks. And if it doesn't, you can just go back to it.
It'll work. It'll be good. It'll be highly entertaining. Don't get me wrong. It'll be bloody good. But I just like the fact that it's the big boys. They get their role. It's the sprint world champs.
Yes.
And that doesn't bode well with me. But I'll probably like it at the end of the day when I'm seeing, these big units getting shelled out the back after doing the whole Tour de France. So, but there's something iconic about, Cav coming through, coming off Renshaw's wheel or Greipel winning. And yeah, I like that. That's special. Anyway, it is
Fair
what
enough.
it is, out of our hands.
Fair enough, Tommy. Good call. Don't forget to follow us on our socials, as we mentioned, at the Press Room Podcast on Instagram and, of course, on our YouTube. Follow us along if you're watching and comment. What did you guys think of what we just talked about with the transfer rumours? Is it a good idea for Remco to go to INEOS? Are AG2R putting their money in the right basket with Koi? And the Tour de France 21 should stay the same, or should they change something different? Let's get into our Giro lift out. This is Roadside, presented by Zwift. As we said, Tommy, the Giro d'Italia this week has been very exciting. The parkour has, I guess, ignited some proper racing. We've had the Strata stage into Siena. We've had some other great breakaway stages. And, of course, a surprise sprint winner as well earlier in the week with Casper van Uden. But I think the big one we start with is Plappy's breakaway win and his breakout European victory. He's no longer Mr. January. He's proved the doubters wrong. And I wish for the celebration, Tommy, he did the big shush, because that's what it was to anyone that's doubted him.
Yeah, well, you're on the Plapp train, aren't you? Hey, I hope he's flicking you some merch here, putting this above the Wout Van Aert win of last night. No, it was bloody good to see, wasn't it? It was bloody good to see when he kicked away and he dispatched the rest of his breakaway companions. It just showed you that he's a guy who can ride GC, or maybe he's a guy who just teeters on the edge of riding GC, because he just tightened the screws and he just set the tone that no one could follow. And it shows you the class that he is, hey?
Yeah, you're perfectly right. That breakaway of like 19 riders, there were some hitters in that group. It wasn't full of absolute flogs. It was full of some of the best in there in the breaks. We had Ulisi, we had Fortunato, who's sniffing around Bardet. There was a whole host of killers in there. And, on these sorts of parkours, Plappy is just, he's a gun. And, like I said in the opening of this episode, I had lots of people messaging me and they were just disappointed. They wanted to see more from him, because we've got to remember, Plapp has the power to compete with some of the best. It's 2 years ago, he was second at UAE Tour, climbing the best. And the year before that, the Tour of Arctic Norway, he was climbing with Remco Evenepoel and Jay Vine, and they finished, top three on that GC, climbing all together.
Why hasn't he been good in Europe recently?
Well, this is the thing. Plappy has had a hard adjustment to the European world, not just the cycling component, but the weather, the type of racing, the riding in the bunch. And unlike many other professionals he's racing against, Plappy really only started riding on the road properly when he was around 17, because he was doing track for most of his junior career. So he didn't have 20,000 Ks in his legs every year from 15 onwards, like all the kids now do. He sort of was just on the track, and the road was something he did on the side as he, when he was available to do so. So lots of stuff can come from that, but it's good to see now that monkey's off the back. He's probably, I would say, it's probably the biggest pressure relief that he's had in his career. Forget about nationals. We know he's a destructor, but it's also a massive one for the pressure valve of Jayco, because boy, oh boy, did they need a proper win.
Yeah, they needed a big Euro win, didn't they? And they needed a big European World Tour win, and that's what they got. So hopefully with that pressure off, I really hope it sets Chris Harper in motion for the rest of the Giro. I really hope that, he's going there for GC, Harper, and I really hope that just means that he can now ride a race without an aura of expectation that's going to be put on him to get a top 10. Because points this year are so valuable, UCI relegation. It was good to see. It was good to see. So hopefully, for the team, they've lost Koen Bouwman as well, the Dutch climber. So he was a rider who was going to be, sort of looking for stages along with Plapp, or at least helping Plapp. And I reckon this week coming up, mate, you could see him go back to back. You could see him get another one.
Well, he'll be sniffing at that TT. He'll be sniffing on that TT. He is one of the top 10 time trialists in the world when he puts
hard to go past Tarling, though.
Well, no, absolutely, yeah. Tarling wins, but I think Plapp's a huge chance of getting on the podium. As long as if he keeps the bike up, he's definitely been inside the top 5 easily on that one. And speaking of breaking droughts, Wout, Van Aert, Tommy, did it, and he did it in amazing style. He took his 50th pro victory in that Siena stage in the final, in that famous Colosseum where they finished at the top in the plaza, and he became the 112th professional rider to do the Giro Tour Vuelta stage win treble.
Yeah, pretty special. Hey, this was one that the Belgian media were just frothing at the bit for. They were fawning over each other when they saw when he managed to hold the wheel of Del Toro on the climb up to Piazza del Campo. They were stoked. So,
and he only
really
just
happy. Really,
he did. Del Toro had him.
Oh, Del Toro got out of the saddle, and Wout was immediately out of the saddle as well. And I just went, "This isn't good. This isn't good. Whoever sits down first loses." And Wout, I reckon they just sat down at the same time, and I went, "Oh, you beauty, hey! Like I reckon he's got him." And he did.
And
it was an impressive ride.
He bossed the finish. Everybody knows how you play that finish. If you've got the power, once you get in front over the top of that climb, it's like Cancellara. You did it to Stibar a couple of years, in his heyday at Strade Bianche. You take that first line, you cannot lose. You cannot lose if you're first through there, even if you're slower.
No, you can't. You're right. And to be honest, it was so impressive. It was a tactical ride by Wout. He was always in good position. He rode smart. He obviously had the liberty to sort of ride his own race, with obviously bearing in mind with Simon Yates, his GC rider, didn't have any issues. So he was bloody lucky, wasn't he, there as well? The fact that he could kind of mark these moves and he was there and then just follow. And all he had to do when he got onto Del Toro's wheel, which that acceleration from Del Toro, I think that'll, it's obviously put UAE on the front foot, kept them on the front foot. But you sort of ask the question when they had some numbers, like, in hindsight, was that the right play? But regardless, it's what happened, and showed the quality as well of the young Mexican who's now in the pink jersey. He is going to be a superstar. He's becoming, or has become, a superstar of the sport.
Yeah.
And he's a sort of rider as well. When I've spoken to him in Australia, when he won the second stage of TDU a year or two ago, his second World Tour race he won. And he just has this poise and class, but also just a level of just friendliness, Just stoked, youthful stoked. Like
Do you remember
Rom.
That stage, Tommy, and poor old Scooter McGorry had to do the post with him in the TV?
I was there. I was standing right behind Scooter, and I just chuckled. I went, "You poor bastard."
No English. Oh, it was a tough one for him. He did well, but he probably also asked about one question too many. So you're right. Del Toro, I don't even think, this is the scary thing, I don't even think we've seen what he can do yet. It's just he's an untapped monster, and he'll stay in the Maglia Rosa, I think, for quite a while. But that stage also, stage 9 also
carnage, wasn't it?
It was carnage. We had who was it? Lucas Hamilton from INEOS.
He set it in motion.
Yeah, and
I hope he's all right.
He sort of lost time there. Bernal was just he loves Strade Bianche, so it was great to see him racing so well. And there was a few questions on social media about, does this type of stage belong in a Grand Tour? Does a cobbled stage belong in a Tour? The Strada in the Giro. I kind of like having the cobbled stage, Roubaix stage in the Tour, and then the Giro now has, you know what, we've got our gravel stage too. Here is the Strada stage. I kind of like it.
I don't like the fact that it takes out riders in GC contention. I really don't like it. I love the atmosphere, and I love it when you watch these sort of races. It makes me go, why aren't there just more one-day races like this? Why don't we have more gravels? We got Trobo-Lyon that was run in France through sort of the gravel or the dirt tracks in France there. Yeah. Brilliant bit of racing. It was wonderful. Bastien Tronchon from Decathlon. He got the chocolates, mate. And it makes me question, why aren't there just more races for that? We have the cobbled monuments, the cobbled classics, for a reason. And I just feel like with the Grand Tours, they don't have a place, particularly the cobbles. The cobbles is a different kind of beast. What Tadej can do, what Tadej does is just freakish. Put it to one side.
Yeah.
But the gravel, maybe if it's a gravel climb, it's cool. But the gravel descending and the looseness as well. And I believe I heard Mitch Docker over the commentary for SBS. He said he rode Strada, these roads, when the race in the COVID year in 2020, when they moved Strade Bianche. And he just said the gravel was just wild. It was loose. He said he's never had such lack of control on his
He was
bike.
probably running 120 psi. That's why.
But
But
Mitchy
yeah,
Docker, he knows what he's talking about a lot more than us, and it makes me go.
2020,
I think that you take that in point, and you got to be aware of that.
yeah,
I don't
no,
know about the time loss for
well,
GC.
luckily,
You like it, eh?
I don't mind it, but luckily we didn't actually have that hectic of time losses. No one really got their race eliminated. We saw Storer lose a bit of time. Roglic only punched, and he didn't have any teammates. That was really his problem. And, everyone else was more or less in and around the mark. Carapaz was fourth. We had Bernal up there as well. Tabiri and Ciccone all had great results, and the Yates brothers were all together. So the GC riders, and I think they actually performed pretty well. And that takes us to our stock take of the GC, Tommy, as I'm just going to bring up the top 10 in GC right now. And the one thing that's evident
Oh,
in
yes.
this,
Miss it. You can't miss it, can you?
it's all UAE. I'll read out the top 10 currently. We have Del Toro as it stands at the end of stage 9. He has a 1 minute gap to Ayuso, his teammate, who is the big favourite, who took his first stage as well, on the first, mountain stage and laid his marker. Tabiri is there in third place. He is another 20 seconds back from Ayuso. Then we've got Carapaz, Ciccone, Yates, and Bernal all within another 30 seconds. Adam Yates is there, and Roglic is back at 2:25. Storer is sniffing around there too, in 11th spot at 3 minutes. But we've got Del Toro, Ayuso, we have Adam Yates and McNulty all inside the top 10. That's a stranglehold.
Yeah, absolute logjam, isn't it? I think your top 20 is only separated by 4 minutes. But in saying that, the GC, we've only had one real sort of test of the GC men. That was on stage 7.
Yeah, a very easy
And
test. Ayuso won.
Precisely. And I think the time gaps are, you take away Del Toro, and then that kind of, without that minute advantage that we saw him take last night, then that would be kind of the reason of a more genuine sort of first 9 stages of a Grand Tour.
And that would put if you took away Ayuso, that would put the top 6, which the 6th place being Bernal. Actually, let's use Adam Yates at 9th. He's 2 minutes back. But if you take away Del Toro, that means the top 9 are separated by only 45 seconds. So that seems about right for one GC stage.
It's a good race, mate. But I tell you what is going to happen with this UAE logjam? We spoke about it at the start of the season. Vuelta Valencia, I think we did. And
yeah,
I'm talking, early spring for Europe. And we just said there's these UAE riders who are just racing each other to get selected for bigger races, this Giro, for example. And they've just been racing each other to see who will be the leader. And now, even you throw in Jay Vine in their team as well. And if he didn't crash in the first couple of stages, in the first stage, he would be on GC time as well. So who's left to do the work, mate?
I know, that's a great question. And what we've heard so far, we talked about this at the start of the year when Juan Ayuso was making a lot of comments about, just abrasive comments about, almost in a negative tone about how he was not conceived as the big leader of UAE, and it was Pogacar instead. This guy rates himself very, very highly. And
he's fond of it, isn't he?
Yeah, and I don't think he's been the best teammate, and I'm sure there's a little bit of a cultural and language barrier as well with some of his other teammates, the big Spaniard. And I think that's going to cause some issues as we get on this Giro, even if they are in the lead. And I tell you what, Movistar, they're going to be licking their lips and watching from afar, because I think Movistar will be rubbing their little Spanish hands together, the Paella boys, and hoping that it all goes wrong at UAE for Ayuso, and they'll swoop on him for next year.
Yes, they will, mate. And fresh the press as well. Speaking of Movistar, Enric Mas, he signed a contract extension. So they've kept the man who looks a bit like a bin chicken, to be honest, on the books there. So they've
huge head, eh?
We're not one to talk, but yeah, he's locked in there. So they're going to keep Mas, and why not? He's a reliable GC rider. You pay him what he's worth, and he's there. But yeah, it'll be interesting if you Movistar. They'd just be saying, "Come to the promised land, young man. We will give you all the riches in the world." It's a sure thing. If you come and ride for us, we'll give you the tour, like you said. But on the other side of the fence, mate, UAE, they're in the box seat at the moment. But what about Red Bull, Bora Hansgrohe? They're sort of down and out at the moment, aren't they? Roglic, he had bad luck. He had the crash. They've lost Jai Hindley, who was their man for my man for the third week, our man. I reckon he was just going to come to the forefront, man. And they're on the back foot now after relinquishing the Maglia Rosa on stage 3.
They are on the back foot, you're right, and they're just a wounded beast right now. The Jai loss is massive, losing him, and they're still got a good team. Traknik's there. They got Moscon, Pellizzari, Martinez. We haven't seen much of him yet, but we usually see him in the third week, and let's hope he does turn up. But they're wounded. But one thing can never be stated more clearly is that Roglic never gives up. If he's in the race,
he never
gives up. He's a specialist. He's a 5-time Grand Tour winner. He's won this race before. I think we can't write him off, but
and he won it on the last stage, didn't he?
He did.
He won it on the last stage. He was ahead of Thomas in the time trial. He started in front of him, and it was a mountaintop time trial, and he just rode his way to glory. So, yeah, Roglic is just an absolute fighter, and he will know that this race, we're talking about 1 minute or 2 minutes separates first to 6 or whatever. This race is going to be separated by 5 minutes. Handfuls of minutes in the third week. It's so difficult. If you have one bad day in the third week, you could lose 20 minutes, you're done.
You're exactly right. And really, the gaps start to explode in those last weeks. And we must also mention that Ayuso did have a bit of a bingle yesterday in the Siena stage, and he's reportedly got 5 stitches in his knee after cutting it open during that crash. So, they played it down as minor, but anything around the knee, we know around the knee, the hip, those things, he might feeling okay on the day, but he'll have a sore rest day. He'll probably, be interesting to see how his TT goes. That can really, it can swell up. It can cause further inflammation. So that's something to watch. And Roglic, he only had a puncher. I mean, he's going to be perfectly fine. So, definitely a big watch. Now, Ciccone, Tiberi, Carapaz, they all look up for the fight.
Yeah, they do. Carapaz, he was good, wasn't he? He was clinical. He was that old-fashioned, always down to throw hands last night, wasn't he? He was ready to be in the fight. And Tiberi, he's grown on me. He was 4th or maybe 5th at the Giro last year.
Yes.
So he is a rider who's just been applying himself and just growing. He's had a couple of podiums, or at least top 5s this year at Tirreno, as well as Tour of Alps. So we know he's going well. He's got form. He's not just rolling in with nothing. Ciccone, I'll wait and see. I'll hold my breath. But I tell you what, mate, the Yates brothers, they are just flying under the radar, aren't they, at the moment? I think last night in this Siena stage, they just rode second and last wheel together, just both hating the fight, just riding there. It would have been very easy being their partners or their family or their friends, because every time they cut to the peloton or the back of the peloton, it's just the Yates boys just right there.
It's not for them. The gravel stuff is not for them. They did really well to both. I think they both finished inside the top 10. They did. Adam was 10th on the Siena stage, and Simon was 5th, only 10 seconds apart. So they did pretty well there to manage their losses and uncomfortability. Now we're on to the Aussie Watch. Tommy, of course, is a big Australian following here at Roadside, and we'll cover all the Australians and what's been happening with them at the Giro. Starting on a poor note, stage 4, I think it was, the big crash with the Bora, and just about 50 of the riders in the Pello, they neutralised the stage for quite a while. Jai Hindley was the one who came off the worst with a bad concussion, and he is out of the race. And,
fractured vertebrae as well.
Oh, it was a fractured...
It was, I believe so, yeah.
Nasty.
Terrible news, So he's going to be down now for a while. The Prince of Perth, mate, that sucks. Just terrible news.
Yeah, and let's hope that he can, once he's recovered from the concussion, he can hopefully just turn his attention to the tour. Because he obviously put so much training into this event, and there's another goal that there's there available for him to be there with Roglic again, because we want to see the best for him. Stage 6, Tom, was a great one for Caden Groves. He's got another victory at the Giro, and he smoked the sprint as well.
Yeah, he looked good, didn't he? He's my pick of the litter out of the pure sprinters. I've been keeping receipts. I'm pretty sure I picked him at the start of the year to be or maybe no, I picked Coy. Terrible.
You Coy, mate,
Oh,
you stayed you
oh
are.
no. Well, I picked Groves. So Caden, it was
He's
sort
a
of
good
inevitable,
rider.
wasn't it? He knows so well for positioning, and he works so well in that sort of that Belgium outfit, the Dutch outfit rather, and he just knows what's going on. They know how to position him, and they fight so well. They're so well drilled. So I think we're going to see a lot more of that, particularly over the next week, where Alpecin will really, really apply themselves as a team to ensure it's a bunch kick.
Yeah, not wrong. And he also chipped
He
off
was
on the
good.
yesterday as well. I
Yeah, he
think.
was. Oh wow, he was impressive, wasn't he?
He was charging on the hills. He was taking big turns on the hills. I was like, geez, he's obviously very, very fit. And Jay
It's
Vine so far as well, Tom. He's been playing the ultimate team role, and I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of TT he pulls together tomorrow as well on that first day after the rest day.
Yeah, didn't really see much of him last night. Was he on the front? Was he?
It's not
I
his
can't
stuff.
remember last night. He sort of threw the handbrake on pretty early, didn't he? He was kind of like, nah, this isn't for me.
It's
Maybe
not his
he's looking
riding.
to cash his check for tomorrow, like you said. He was right up there as well after having the crash on stage 1, stage 2, that short time trial. I think he was third. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think with a little bit more fatigue now in the legs of Tarling, Vine is definitely a chance for tomorrow night.
I tell you who doesn't like the gravel stuff is also Luke Plapp. Luke Plapp and Jay Vine, they finished 162nd and 171st. Plapp was last over the line with his teammate Paul Double, just cruising. But that's
Young
smart
double.
stuff. Don't get mixed in, especially Jay Vine. He falls over if he bloody sneezes. So, you want to make sure you keep those guns, just wrap them in cotton wool, and then they'll just unleash when they come to the TT. Both of them will be. There's a bit of an Australian Cup there as well. I'm sure Plapp would be really motivated to finish ahead of Vine in the TT. And
You
what
could
about
almost see Plapp. You could almost see Plapp having more stage wins than Caden.
Well, over his career, certainly with the TT up his sleeve and the ability to win those sort of
Oh, that's a
those
big
big
call.
stages. Yeah. So
Wow.
Plough, the big Plough, Jensen Plough, right? We love him. We're on Plough Watch here on the Roadside Pod and looking at the general classification after stage
Where is
9.
he? Is he third last?
He is second last with he's second last
He's
at
out
2
there doing a
hours.
job, mate. He's out there doing a job.
Well, he almost won the stage on his
He
birthday.
did.
The
He
reverse
did.
lead out.
Yeah. He kind of snuck away, didn't? Oh, that would have been something, hey.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
that would
very.
have been bloody special.
He's
On
having a
another
good time.
WA, he is for his first Grandy. On the WA front, Storer, he lost a little bit of time as well on the gravel sector last night.
Yep.
I kind of think, that just kind of put a bit of a light on Tudor and maybe the riders he's got around him there. There wasn't just the depth that was needed to have a core group of riders just there with him when he had a mechanical, had a bit of a bingle. So, but I have no doubt that Storer is just going to make time up in that last week, mate.
Oh, he will. And it's perfect for him. He wants to be just outside the GC group, to be honest. I wouldn't mind seeing him lose a little bit of time, get to like 6 or 7 minutes, and he's every chance of taking a big mountain stage and then recouping that easily in that sort of scenario. And looking at his team, for that gravel stage, he ain't got the big bodyguard like we want to see with Marco Huller. He doesn't have that man shepherding him along, and even if he did, it would be a difficult ask, but he'll no doubt improve in the third week. And what about this one as well with the SBS
Yeah,
coverage
it's an
that
interesting
I'm
one.
sure that many people have been tuning into? A big difference so far for this week or the last week gone of the Giro d'Italia with the, I guess, non-selection of Matt Keenan. He has not been on the coverage this week. It's been Mitch Docker. It's been Simon Gerrans hosting, by the way, and then the great Dave McKenzie, the great man, as the trio. And it struck me while I was watching it. I was like, wow, this has got to be the first time in like 15 years that Matthew Keenan hasn't hosted the SBS coverage. And it's weird, it is weird. And, Guerrero is not the host that Matthew Keenan is. We know that. But it's just weird. They're obviously trying to mix it up here, SBS.
Yeah, no, personally, mate, love any decision SBS make, mate. I'm on board with it. Give us a job, but No, look, it is strange, isn't it? Yeah, it's kind of, for our generation, so to speak, Matthew Keenan has certainly been the voice that's presented throughout Australia, Asia Pacific, as, certainly the voice of cycling. So it's such a steady hand as well he has on the race, and he understands everything, the layers of the race. So look, SBS trying something different. Media outlets, producers, they have a run of things, and maybe they have their own agenda, but wait and see. Wait and see what the public consensus is. I'd be really fascinated to know what people want, and because obviously for our time, it's only ever been SBS, so to speak. And then we had GCN, and it brought in this whole different variant of certainly commentary team where you had Rob Hatch alongside Adam Blight and a few other members like Sean Kelly. So
Lloyd,
it was a different way of doing it. So it'll be fascinating to see what the core Australian cycling community want. But there's also, we can't forget the broader reach of what cycling is broadcast, particularly the Grand Tours, particularly the Giro and the Tour.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Now, FE Sports are a big sponsor of Roadside. We love FE Sports, and I hope you like the little graphics I've got on our special YouTube streaming setup here. If you're watching us, just got the FE Sports down the bottom there and the Zwift Z. Do you like that, Tommy?
Yeah, I do, mate. Yeah, it is. It's smooth. Yeah, it's not bad.
Nice.
You've Megan's been working. She's been pretty busy.
This was me, mate. I can do many things. This was me. Now, FE Sports, we have Magine under FE Sports banner, obviously, and they brought out the new power meter, their P515, the upgraded version to the P505, which is an unbelievable product. This new one is lighter. It's even more accurate at 1%. I think the 505 is 1.5% accuracy, and it is a little bit more sleeker as well, and I think better battery life. So really new product. I got sent one, Tommy. I had to do a little reel so people can check it out, and you have to give it away.
Well. You did really well out of this.
Yeah, the reel was good. I was actually sick as a dog too. I had a big flu. So whoever watched that video, in between takes, I was just sniffing it up. It was so grim. But anyway, there is still time tomorrow, May 20th. So if you're watching, listening and watching now, you've got to go to the Instagram page and comment. There's 227 comments on there. I will pick one.
I'm half of those comments, mate. I've just got all the fake accounts running, mate. That's me.
No,
I don't want to see it fall into someone who can't do 250, mate. I've got all the fake accounts there. It's me winding you up as well about them.
You've got to comment. If you want to win it, just comment on that page. I'm giving the product away. I'll ship it out to you. But I'll tell you who's not going to win is this guy. I hope he definitely doesn't listen. But he said, what did he say? Oh, here we go. You got to comment Magine, because of course that is what it's about. He said, buy an SRM if you want a power meter, buy any other power meter if you want a power estimator. And I'm just like, mate, those SRM pedals cost like $2,500. Who the fuck is buying that shit when this beautiful Magine is $599? Or yours free if you comment on the real, Tommy. So we've got the last final words coming up on the Giro Roadside Liftout. This is Roadside presented by Zwift. So Tommy, final words here on Roadside for our Giro Liftout. What do you think are going to be this week's Giro's talking points? What are going to be the storylines that we will see emerge when we get back together on Thursday or Friday for our next episode after this week's stages?
Mate, we are going to see a civil war at UAE. It's going to erupt. We are going to see another Lance versus Alberto Contador battle at Astana erupt at UAE. Bring it on, hey! I reckon Del Toro, he might just go back. He might just say that, nah, this isn't for me. Hey, I'm too much of a chilled out bloke. But yeah, between Mick Nolte and Ayuso in there as well as Adam Yates, mate, it's going to be on. It's going to be on. Just a big battle royale.
I think you're right there. And it just gave me something when you referenced Lance and his competitor. Who was the American? Not the American. Yeah, the main competitor that he hated. Greg LeMond.
He hated a lot. He hated a lot of people, mate.
Yes, a lot of people hated him, but I actually read a rumor today that the
Tyler Hamilton,
the Bob Roll podcast. It's a huge one in America. Bob Roll is a big fan of Lance. They're mates, right? And Lamond went on Bob Roll's podcast, and the what I read today was that Lance got Bob to wear a wire so that whilst they were off air recording their pod and stuff, obviously they were discussing Lance in the pod and all this sort of stuff. He got him to wear a wire so that if Le Mans said any, talk shit about him to Bob off air, Lance would be able to hear it. And that was the rumor. And
You love the drivel. You love the absolute drivel, don't you? I've got to try and promote standards on this podcast.
By sources,
and I think it was Floyd Landis actually who Lance has an eternal gripe with after Floyd was the man. Yeah, and Lamont, but Landis was the guy who did him dirty, or didn't do him dirty. He was the man who lifted the lid on the foul stench that was coming out of the rotten container that was cycling in that era.
Right after hosting a fundraiser for himself. So great guy. But I think my big take this week, I think we're going to see some of the big frictions. No, actually, I think we're going to see the Giro organisers come under fire because this week's stages, the Giro. Yeah, I think the Giro is going to cop a lot of backlash this week because the stages suck.
What do you mean they suck?
I don't like them. I'm looking at these stages, Tommy, mate. Have a look at the stage profiles for the next 4 or 5 stages, okay?
They're good.
No, they are not. They are not good.
They're very good. We've got a 30-kilometre TT. It should be a 50-kilometre TT. If that's what you're going to come under fire for.
Fine for the TT. That's great. I don't think stage 11 is good at all. Stage 12 is rubbish. Have a look at it. It's a rubbish stage. It's 170 Ks with 1,200 meters of elevation, and the last 100 Ks is panned flat. And then look at stage 13 and 14. They're just sprint stages. So I think there should be, at this point in the race, we've had our boring start to the Giro. Let's face it has been a boring start. We had a little bit of spice with the centre stage and the first mountain stage, Plappy's win. But these next 4 stages, I think, are a little bit on the mid size. And I think the Giro could have done better, putting a bit more spice in there.
You were off the mark. You're like a modern kid with TikTok and needs to be entertained every night. You want the 80-kilometer road stage. Put yourself in the bin jet. This is really good. I like stage 11. Stage 11, 13, and 15. We're gonna see everyone coming in for the breakaway. That's why everyone's brought these teams with a lot of guys like Plapp, Fortunato. We're gonna see some really exciting racing.
Okay, but will we see any general classification movements before the 25th of May, stage 15?
I think we will. Yeah, because it's so tight between everyone who is say like 5th to 20th.
Well, you think all
you need is one rider to get in the break with 2 of his teammates, and it's on. And then UAE go, we're not going to pull this one back, mate. We've got 2 minutes up the road. You guys can get on the front. You watch. I think there'll be some really good racing. And also, don't just forget, mate, think of the accumulative load for next week. Stage 11, 186 kilometres, 172, 180, 195. And then stage 15 is a 219-kilometre day. This is a traditional Giro, mate, where the load is just accumulating. And this 3rd week is so brutal with the climbs. And everyone's just going to be on their hands and knees already. It's going to be brilliant. I'm really looking forward to it.
All right. Well, I'm going to keep this receipt when we come back after on stage 15, which looks shit, by the way, 100 kilometres of nothing. And then they do a 25K average gradient, 6% climb, which still has another 100 kilometres to the finish. We'll talk about it at our next episode, which will be on Thursday. We'll recap the Snorefest of the next few days and keep everyone interested. But make sure they've got to follow along. They've got to follow on YouTube, don't they, Tommy? And watch your head just bopping around on our new sponsor wall. And also subscribe as well on Apple and Spotify. Did you know, Tommy, that you can comment on Spotify as well, by the way?
I did not know that.
Yeah, and you know who was the first to comment?
Megan.
No, actually, it was someone who said, it was some American listener. We love you. Thank you for listening. But she said a little bit too heavy on the bros, as in we were using the word bro too heavy.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, we'll put that all to one side and tell her to call us out every time we use that then. I like that.
Yeah, call us out if we do too much broing. I can't remember the last time I said that, but we did. But anyway, legends, this is the Giro Liftout. Thanks to Roadside, thanks to Zwift and FE Sports. Thanks for listening. We're going to catch you guys on Thursday for a recap of this week's beautiful stages of the Giro d'Italia.